In my presentation, I will be discussing and promoting all legalized abortion and moral veganism. First, I would like to describe pain. Pain is a psychological experience that needs to have coherence. Coherence has two parts, sentience and awareness. Sentience is the ability to have sensations or experiences. Awareness is the ability to perceive and react to these sensations. Stuart Derbyshire, a fetal pain expert at the University of Birmingham, says that at 26 weeks, a fetus does have nerve circuitry developed, but a fetus can't feel pain without awareness, consciousness, and context, as he describes it. Therefore, counter-arguments that fetuses can feel pain within these 20-week to 26-week time periods are going to be proven wrong. One specialist, Anand, claims that the subcortex can receive pain signals, but doctors such as Derbyshire have proven that this evidence is only from observations, which means that it's just opinions. This is not factual and cannot be explicitly proven. Another counterclaim is that fetuses reflex in the way adults and children do, proving they feel pain. These, yes, are reflex responses, but nerves do not have the correct wiring to the cortex at this point, and this reaction is just a reaction without the perception of pain. These same reflexes have been seen in fetuses that are formed without a brain. Thus, since the fetuses have no brain, they truly have no ability or any possible future way of feeling pain. Utilitarianism defines counting equality as anything with an interest counts. But in order to have an interest, something must be conscious, whether it be a human or an animal. Utilitarianism claims that to have equality, people should equally consider interests. This doesn't mean that every person will have equal treatment or equal rights, but their interests will be equally considered. Fetuses do not have interests. They aren't sentient to know that life could be ahead of them. They are not conscious and they are not self-aware, or they are not aware of their surroundings. Even if people argue that fetuses did have interests, let's say that their interest would be a good quality of life once they are brought to term and become a baby. But if a mother wants to have an abortion, she's probably considered adoption or other options, and since she is really choosing to have an abortion, she could not provide the fetus that will eventually become a baby with the quality of life that is their interest. Mothers are already alive, and thus they do have interests, unlike the fetus. Since fetuses aren't coherent, they have no interests, and even if they did, their interest would be for a quality of life, which clearly a mother who needs an abortion cannot provide that future child with. Thus, all abortion must be legal, because the mother's interests outweigh the fetus' interests, if the fetus even does have interests. Animals are sentient, and therefore they count morally as well. We are morally required to be vegetarians if we have access to non-animal products, which in most developed countries is not a problem. But I would like to add that people can continue to eat shellfish since these creatures are not sentient. They don't have pain receptors. They do not feel pain when they die. It's not fair to say that we couldn't count animals since they're not as smart as people. We still count people who are comatose or who are considered vegetables, even though they are not as intelligent or as smart as humans who are not in that situation. We want to count anything who has an interest in not experiencing pain. Therefore, we're talking about persons, rational, self-aware people. This includes animals too, since they are both rational and self-aware. In the case of comatose people, this is more on an individual basis. They count if they want to be counted. That can be based on the loved one's decision, as the law says, loved ones can decide whether or not people who are in a vegetable state want to remain in a vegetable state or want their lives to be terminated, or it could be the decision that that person made when they were a conscious, rational, self-aware person. Now, we must weigh the interests of animals against the interests of humans. Animals have an interest in living, and humans have an interest in the pleasure that derives from eating meat in developed countries. We are not talking about humans who need meat to survive, who don't have access to other nutritional opportunities. So clearly in this situation, human pleasure versus animals wanting to live and flourish and be alive, clearly the animals' interests outweigh the humans since they are on equal moral standing and they equally count. Inflicting unnecessary pain is pointless and wrong, as de Grazia said. Cultured meat could solve the problem of having human interests of pleasure, but also respecting the interests of the animal to not die. If everyone stops supporting the meat industry, the market has a threshold. At some point, it will need to shift to where the profits go. This is how capitalism works. If no one is supporting one industry, it's going to die out and be replaced by another. The producers will follow the money and they will invest in cultured meat. Cultured meat respects the interests of the animal in that it does not harm the animal. Simply, cells of the animal are taken. It's just like if your skin cells fall off. It's not something harmful. And they are cultured in a petri dish to create larger sections of meat. And while this technology is currently very expensive, in the future it could be something that's viable if we, the consumers, make conscious decisions to stop supporting the meat industry and instead support efforts to create cultured meat. So this way, humans and animals' interests could be respected. This goes along with utilitarianism, since utilitarianism works for the maximized happiness of every individual, since every individual who counts has their interests equally considered. Therefore, in my conclusion, I would like to say that abortion should always be legal, no matter what, and animals have just as many rights as humans do. So we need to respect the animal's interests and the human's interests, and we are morally obligated to be vegans right now with the addition of shellfish until we reach the point where cultured meat becomes a viable option for us as well. This, of course, applies to humans who do not need meat to survive, who are in developed countries. This is not in reference to humans who live in undeveloped countries. Thank you.